What's happening, YouTube? I'm back with a similarly themed video to yesterday and the one I guess a few days ago combined. Because it's a conspiratorial video and at the same time it's a video related to drugs. Well, I don't know if I consider acid in the same class of drug as any other drug. I consider it more than a drug. Because of I've used acid only a handful of times, probably like 8 or 9 times in my whole life, and it's the only drug that, aside from psilocybin, that I felt changed me. Put it like this: it's the only drug that's made me feel like I remember past lives. Like, it's the only drug with shit about it that seems to like if the red pill was a real thing, I think it would be acid and psilocybin. I don't know which one more so. I think in terms of like acid definitely, I think, enables things within your DNA and your construct to be, I wouldn't say be seen or be understood, but like you get a greater sense of awareness that is permanent. Like, think about how you can't smoke enough weed for that to be permanent. Even crack and dope and shit like that. I mean, I guess when the dope becomes permanent is when you overdose and die. You know what I'm saying? Like, no other real drug aside from PCP, which is another drug I feel like has some weird properties that make it more than a drug. I often wonder if certain things you hallucinate are really just hallucinations, or are they more than that? Are they something that's real that you just can't see normally? Like, I had this theory about people who are schizophrenic who see people with like shades of color around them, and like a lot of times red will be a bad color. Red, when it relates to auras, especially, there's a term called mean reds. When someone's aura is constantly red, because everyone's aura, whether it's indigo, purple, blue, whatever color your aura is, when orange, like, put it like this: orange red as a constant aura is not bad. When someone has a crimson, like a bright, this is fire engine red aura consistently, like that is just their aura, a lot of times those people tend to be very manipulative, toxic, and out to get you. Or if not out to get you, out for themselves. So I often wonder, because I constantly hear a lot of people with schizophrenia, like when they see, with that type of schizophrenia where they see people with color shades, like they often describe seeing red as like that's bad. They don't like seeing people with a red color around them. So I was thinking earlier, I was like, what if like people with that type of schizophrenia can, like, they can see people auras? And like most of them are too bugged out to understand like what an aura is or anything like that. So it's just like coincidence. You know what I'm saying? That just goes as far as like this person's just crazy for so long. When really this person could be just crazy, but maybe they could really see people auras. You know what I'm saying? It's like, imagine like the disorder makes you 99% crazy, but there's 1% that makes you be able to see shit that you can't see if you didn't have that disorder. That's really there. The same thing with drugs. Like, I feel like when you're on dust, it fuses different nether realms together with this one. You know, think about Mortal Kombat, how there's like Earth realm, Shadow realm, Nether realm. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things with video games too, where like parts of the story, it's like, that couldn't have just been like made up. That's from something that, either some type of religious text or something, where that has to be like, there has to be a part of it, like for Mortal Kombat, not the whole thing, but just in terms of Nether realm, Shadow realm, Earth realm, in terms of the 3 realms. I mean, in reality, it relates back to like heaven, hell, and earth in a way, but I don't know, I feel like it's more than that at the same time. But when it comes to acid, right, I'm gonna tell you a story about my brother Smiles, where recently, I guess he said, I'm never taking acid again. I guess he took some like 30 hits of liquid microdot. Okay, I don't take acid. I can't take any drugs, actually. I don't take no drugs. But I can't take acid specifically because, listen, I don't get sick from any other drugs. Like, I used to be on heroin every day before I went to jail. Never banged it, but I never got sick from it either. Never once in my life been dope sick from heroin. The only drugs that I've ever gotten, like, any type of sickness from was mildly, very mildly, not even just benzos, only Valium. And the only other one, the only drug where it has a severe sickness is acid. The next day, I will be in so much back pain I cannot walk. And without taking some type of painkiller. And I know it's not the acid because I did the same shit 4 or 5 other people did. Got it from my brother Reed. My brother Reed did the same shit, God rest his soul. Did this 4 or 5 times and it never happened. And there was a time before this, way before I ever had back pain after doing acid. See, there was 2 times I did acid, no back pain after. Then the 3rd time, I think I got dosed with Embone. Had a seizure. My right ear was crazy glued from here down. And woke up with EMTs and cops all over my room. And cops being mad. They couldn't do nothing about no drugs or scales. I was there. Literally woke up to a cop like looking at my scale like this. Another one's like looking at a bag of MDMA on the table. But they can't do nothing about it. They literally had to leave it there because they were responding to a medical call. It falls under 4th Amendment. So when it comes to acid, right? Think about how it caused you to remember past lives. Not even so much the life, but mainly how you died. When you die, that's the largest expanse of DMT. You cannot smoke enough DMT to get that type of expanse from it. You see what I'm saying? When you have the largest expanses of natural DMT where it's not from anything you smoke, it's when you're dreaming and you have sleep paralysis. Other than that, it's when you're born, and the largest one's when you die. The second largest one is when you're born. Almost as if it's like, save this file. Okay, wipe, clean slate, new game. Like you being born is new game. You dying is save file. Remember this. They try to wipe everything off, but there's always a couple little things they don't get, right? Off your like big hard drive. So when it comes to what happened with my brother Smiles, he did some acid, I guess. He did 30 hits of Lisramagdro. He's like, oh, bro, I literally did more acid, I think, than I ever did in my life. It's a big fat kid with glasses. So, I'm like, he's like, bro, it scared me. He's like, I saw the Grim Reaper. He's like, and literally, he's like, he wasn't even talking to me. He was just there. It was like the persistence of him being there. He's like, this wasn't something I just looked at and then I looked away and looked back. No. It was like I was chilling with the Grim Reaper for hours. And it made me so uncomfortable. And I told him, I said, you know, with how acid in particular, it's like all these drugs that I feel like are more than drugs have like one factor that really stands out. For Dust, it's the religious aspect to the hallucinations, where it's very clear as day. Like these are, like you're seeing it like there's people there with you. And it's like there's a lot of drugs that make you hot, but PCP is the only one that makes you take all your clothes off if you get that hot. It's also the fact of how you can smoke it a little bit and it'll hit you like weed. And then if you smoke the whole joint, it hits you like something totally different. You feel what I'm saying? Like, can't even really compare it to acid. It's like stranger than that. Also, a lot of these drugs tend to be naturally analogued in parts of nature. For example, PCP has several naturally occurring analogues. Whenever there's a research chemical that occurs naturally in nature, it's marked with the prefix MEO. MEO PCP 3, 4, or 5 is found in the venom of the Colorado River toad. You basically take the salt and the butter knife, take it off, and then you cook it, and it separates. And then you can get the venom, the MEO DMT whatever without getting the venom. So, anyways, my brother Smiles with LSD, it's the past lives shit. That was something I didn't see, ironically, till after my brother Reed had said, "Yo, you ever heard how acid can make you remember past lives?" And in my mind, I'm like, this kid's crazy. And then, like, literally, it was 2 or 3 times after he said that of doing acid with him, I started remembering, almost remembering, situations around how I may have died. Like, I knew after, a minute, like I'd always known I'd die during the Trail of Tears. It was just something like I instinctually knew for some reason. After that, like I'd always gotten sort of like the same reaction I get when I'm having a flashback to something, to the Vietnam War, anything like war related, but it got very focused on shit that was Vietnam War related. After the third time I did acid, like things like Waco wouldn't trigger it no more. Things where it was any type of military operation wouldn't trigger it no more. It would have to be, I mean, some other things besides, but they were military, but wasn't. It takes something very rare outside the context of Vietnam to trigger it, and it doesn't trigger the same way. It's almost like triggers it in a way that makes me think about Vietnam, even though the military shit that triggers it is not about Vietnam. Like for example, recently it happened with something called the Harlem Hellfighters, and I wonder if that's because there was a lot of black soldiers in Vietnam. Maybe in my past life I was cool with them. I don't know. It's the type of shit where even though I'm like 99% sure, I wouldn't go on any type of acid, relying on that just to be like, yeah, that's 100% fact. Like, till I go to the afterlife and motherfuckers like, nah, yeah, here's your life before, that's the one before that, that's the one before that. Oh, yeah, remember the one after the one before that, the one right before this one? Yeah, you really fucked up on that one. You did some real weird shit and you killed yourself in jail. You feel what I'm saying? So, that's why you can't kill yourself. I feel like after you come back as one of the trees that the harpies eats, that's what happens. That's what they find with certain people's spinal DNA. They cannot, like there's a spinal chromosome that determines that if you can kill yourself or not. That's what my mom said. And I've also heard a doctor tell me that too. and that's why I think with me, like whenever I would try, when I would be really depressed as like a kid, I couldn't do it. It was like, it was harder for me to do that than it was to ever hit anyone else. Like it was like, I could stab someone else, but if I try to take this knife to my throat, I'm gonna wind up just like rubbing it against me to a point where it doesn't even cut and putting it down. Unless it cuts me on accident. So with acid, it's the past lives aspect, right? I think that's why he saw the Grim Reaper. I think either the Grim Reaper just naturally chills in there, or it was put in there deliberately. I need some drink and say, no, I think I finished this first. It was put in there deliberately as like a safeguard to be like, look, you've remembered all the fragments of past lives that, they managed to just leave behind when they wiped your hard drive. You can't remember anymore. They don't leave that shit around. I think that's why I've probably had way more than like, I've definitely had more than 3 past lives, and there's so big of gaps in between them, especially between Trail of Tears and Vietnam, to where I have no memory. Oh yeah, when I was 3 years old, I literally rattled off some shit. I was like, yo, my name is Charlie Canarian. I came through Ellis Island. Like a whole bunch of shit. I have a brother named this. My mom went on the Ellis Island website. This is the early days of the internet. This shit was all true. I was like literally not even in school yet. I did not know how to use a computer. So it was like, that was already something, but I don't remember nothing about that past life. That was just something weird that I did when I was 3 years old. And a lot of kids, when they do remember past life, it happens at age 3. But anyway, so I feel like the Grim Reaper appeared, or I feel like if anyone takes a huge amount of acid, especially if they've already remembered like the little fragments, usually that are related just to how they died, because it's the largest expanse of DMT that your body mind ever has. I think the Grim Reaper either goes there by his own accord, or maybe somehow when Albert Hoffman was synthesizing this shit, was put into the fiber of the tabs and that lysergic acid to basically, he was put in a structure of it basically by Albert Hoffman theoretically. Like, this is the other option if he doesn't just be chilling there by choice, but be like, listen, you remembered all your past life fragments, bro. There's not many of them. They only leave those behind on accident because think about how many people die every day, bro. I mean, I'm the one who rows the boat for them, so I know. You know what I'm saying? They don't have time to take every little fragment out, bro. Plus, while they're trying to process you, you still have that shit running while they're wiping your shit. You're still creating memory while they're wiping your shit. So they can't theoretically. That's how a lot of them fragments is created, bro. So, you know what I'm saying? You've remembered all that you can. Okay, so stop. Just stop. They sent me here to tell you to stop. I think that's why the Grim Reaper is there. Basically as like a safeguard. Like, either by him putting himself in the tabs, but I feel like it's something you would see regardless if you took 30 hits of acid, especially if you'd already remembered all the fragments of your past life that you possibly could. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't condone drug use. I'm just explaining it. I'm out this bitch.